you're this, that and the other.
Can I have an opinion?
Yeah, go.
You know you love to rage bait. You throw a little something in there whenever you think there's going to be a little bit.
I actually don't physically rage bait to piss people off, and I don't actually rage bait in
But
general.
not going to lie,
just to
Lucinda, I think you do.
Never in a million years did I ever think I would defend Lucinda and Sean. But at the end of the day, they are the victims of that situation. What happened is, because Jessie was feeling the heat from Helena and Tommy, she decided to put them in front of the car and run over them several times, as far as I'm concerned. The audacity for Belle to say that, Lucinda and Sean are making everybody unhappy. It's like, madam, look at everybody standing around you. They're miserable. Every day they have to listen to you scream and shout. Don't you get tired? For just to then start crying and say, Sean came after me, this, that, and the other. You tried to have beef with Sean and it didn't work out so well for you. And now you're crying. Sean knows you way better than most of the people in the villa because he was on the same season with you and was best buds with your guys. So take several seats. We're not buying it. The recouplings, I thought, they were okay, but I didn't like the reaction to, Leanne's speech about her situation in the villa and the fact that she's now gone back to Scott. I didn't like that. For Belle to sit there with the sour face as though someone had stolen a guy, it's like, madam, take several seats. We're not buying this nonsense. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars, Season 3, Episode 26. So you have the Islanders wake up. Obviously, everybody is just happy that they have peace from the hurricane that was there the night before. The girls are getting ready. You have the guys get everybody's teas ready. Scott is back to his barista ways. He actually made Leanne, it looked like a sandwich or a toast, and the coffee. She was excited because, he's now just focused on her and nobody else. You then had everyone go out in groups to have sort of like a debrief. And it's like, why do we need this debrief? Is it because we don't have enough material or toxicity? Because now, Scott has decided to go home. There's no drama for them to sort of focus on. Anyway, you have Kieran and Sammy sort of telling everyone that they're happy that they closed off. They knew that they didn't want anyone else. It's not that they knew they didn't want anyone else. It's because they knew that now that Scott had gone home, production would be wanting another couple to mess about with. And this is why they decided to close things off, for no other reason than they didn't want to sort of run the risk that production would mess about them. Scott is asked, how are you? And Leanne, he says him and Leanne things are doing very well. It's sad that he made the mistakes that he did and he shouldn't have sort of done some of the stuff that he did, but he's realized that in order for Leanne to take him back and in order for him to sort of progress with her, he will need to take responsibility and ownership of the things that he's done. So he's taking responsibility of that. Leanne said, she's in this space whereby she has to step out on a leap of faith and hope that everything is the way it is, and just pray that things go the right way. And so she's going to step out on a leap of faith and hope that Scott is going to be the man that he promised to be. And it's like, oh, I love it, it's very cute. You have Belle busy moaning to everyone about, oh, I don't like them or this. And it's like, Belle, your problem is you came into the villa thinking you're the bee's knees. Sadly for you, every guy you've coupled up with has left you. What is it about you that they don't like? Maybe that's where you should be starting from. You have Jack sort of talking about this couple with Sher, saying, they're in this space whereby they're trying to find a way forward to see how they can progress as a couple. But he thinks they're doing very well. He thinks their chats are great. Sadly, Sher doesn't see it that way. She thinks that their chats are dry and they're just sitting there awkwardly, just staring at one another. And so she's going to give it another couple of hours and see how they go. I think she was waiting to see if Harrison would push her further, but sadly it seems that didn't work out. Millie was saying she was worried because Zach was saying he was to explore with Jessie, and so she's worried that he said he's going to turn. And it's like, I don't get it about this man. Zach was nothing in his own country, is Love Island. So the idea that you're making so much, hoopla about him doesn't make any sense. You have the Islanders just hanging around. Jessie receives a message. Islanders, today there will be a recoupling. The girls will choose which boy they want to couple up with. And so the new bombshells, obviously, we're going to pick first. Just like, oh, it's about to be messy. Harrison stood up. He said, there's one girl who's his type. She's got a great sense of humor, and he seems to have a great time with her. Sadly, in a couple that is not there. And the other girl is a big personality, and, he doesn't agree with the way she's been treated. And it's like, this girl tried to push up on her best friend's guy. When it didn't play out so well, this is when she decided to go to make herself the victim of that situation. Scott was never her guy. He didn't treat her badly. He just gave her the bare minimal energy of whatever she was putting out. So if that's a sin, then he's guilty. Jessie stood up. She said, she's been having flirty vibes with this guy. Yes, she's got to know a couple of guys, but she's decided to go with this guy. She went to Tommy because she didn't want the beef from Millie. I think Millie must have threatened to walk if they took Zach from her, and this is why they decided to let her couple up with Tommy, because otherwise it doesn't make sense that they would bring Jessie a bombshell in for Tommy. Make that make sense? Millie stood up. She said there was an instant connection and a spark with Zach on first sight. And so she was a bit worried because obviously he was exploring with other people. But now she's happy that she gets to keep him and they get to share a bed together. It's like, if that works for you, amazeballs. Leanne went up next. She said, she's had highs and she's had lows. And so she's really struggled because she's been confused and didn't know where she stood in a couple. But she's going to step up and on a leap of faith, and she's going to give this guy a chance and hope for the best. She said relationships as friends have changed. And I think this got on Whitney's nerves. Whether Scott is now sort of moving away from her, and this is why she's going after Leanne, I didn't get it. I didn't like the face that Whitney made. Anyway, Scott was on cloud nine. He was on cloud nine. If he could skip his way around the villa to say, I'm happy, I'm going home, I fully am home, he would have done that because he really missed Leanne. He's already said he missed Leanne. Next up, we had Helena. Helena stood up. She gave a speech for Carrington. Helena and Carrington are just a couple of convenience. That's all I'm going to say. There's nothing fancy about them. So, hey, kudos to them. You had Sher stand up. She said, this guy has great qualities. She sees qualities in him that she would want in a partner. They are having some issues, obviously, that they need to work out, but she is going to continue to explore things with this guy. And it was really sad because I think Sher thought Harrison was going to steal her. And so the idea that he didn't steal her and decided to leave her with Jack is something that wasn't on her bingo card. Whitney said, she really struggled when she came into the villa until she finally found that something that was missing. And so she likes this guy because he's funny, he's got good sense of humor. And, she was worried when her sister took him to the secret garden for 5 minutes. And it's like, so 5 minutes of them in the secret garden is what you're still skipping and talking and shouting and hoopling about. Please make it make sense. That's very silly and very childish. Lucinda stood up. She said, there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of double standards, because what other people have managed to get away with, she would never have got away with. But anyway, she's found a genuine connection and she's happy. Belle was in the background mumbling, oh, why is the speech about me? Why is the speech about me? And it's like, because you made her life miserable. And sadly for you, you started with the wrong person. She's going to make your life even more miserable. Next up, we had Sammy. Sammy said, she is happy. She really likes this guy, and so that's why she closed things off with him, and she's going to couple up with, Kieran. Kieran and Sammy are smart. They knew that now that Scott was out of the love triangle thingy, they were either one of the next couples to be put up next. So this is why they decided to close things off. That way, production wouldn't sort of steal him away from her or wouldn't bring in a girl for him. Anyway, the islanders finish, their chats and then they walk off. You have Lucinda stay back at the fire pit with Sean, and Sean is saying to her, you didn't need to say some of the things that you said. You just need to be mindful because otherwise it makes us uncomfortable. And I think Sean is worried that when the other islanders, if they have to come back and vote, they're never going to vote to save him in his couple because Lucinda has really been terrible. So he's just going to try and be the nice guy that he can be. On the other side of the villa, you have the girl sitting there. You have Sammy, Millie, and Belle. Millie is trying to be Switzerland. She really has been Switzerland in all this hot mess. The fact that you have Sammy becoming a minion for Belle doesn't make sense. Whether they were best friends before they came in or whether they are now best friends, I don't get it. Because the idea that they are talking down about Lucinda like this doesn't make sense. It's not that big a deal. It's not that deep. There's no need for you to be opening your top and bottom lip and talking down to another woman. And Sammy, for someone who was quiet for the first couple of weeks, suddenly she's found her voice because she's aligned herself with Belle. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And Lucinda, the devil works hard and Lucinda works twice as hard. Because tell me why she would stand up from where she was sitting with Sean to go and try and sit with Belle and Sammy, knowing that they don't like her. They stormed off. It was very petty and immature. It was really petty and immature, and I didn't understand the need for that. Everybody else in the villa was just looking at them and just saying, this is unnecessary. Really unnecessary. the back and forth between Belle and Sean. Sean is right to stand up for his girl because he said, I'm always going to back Lucinda. I might tell her off in private, but I'm going to back her because that is my partner. That is my couple. I have to make sure she's okay. This is the reason why Belle can never get over Sean, because the idea that he's more loyal to Lucinda than he was to her, she doesn't understand. But the guy, she makes the guys uncomfortable. This is why guys leave Belle. She makes them uncomfortable with how loud and sort of boisterous and whatever she is. She wants to hear herself speak louder than anybody else in the room, no matter whether she's wrong or right. So I didn't like that back and forth. I'm happy that Sean stood his ground and didn't back down. So because Sean didn't back down, you had Belle go into the bedroom. Harrison went to try and speak to Sean, trying to back his partner and sort of saying, oh, but Lucinda was wrong or this. And it's like, Harrison, take several seats. We're not here for it. Belle, she went into the girls' changing room. You had, Lucinda follow her there. She went out. She was trying to go somewhere. Lucinda kept following her. And it's like Lucinda is like a dog that you haven't fed. She's going to follow you and follow you and follow you until you're fed up. So it's up to you whether, you put up with that or you keep it stepping. And this conversation between Tommy and Jesse, I don't understand it. For Jesse to say, I chose you because you were my number one. This is why you are one of the people I kissed. She kissed him because she knew he wasn't in a couple with anyone. She saw the backlash she faced from Grace when she stole Joey Essex. So this is why she did that. And I think on his part, Tommy can see through it. He can see through it that she's using me as a placeholder. Harrison then started having a chat with Belle, and they were really talking badly about Lucinda. I love that Lucinda followed them and came and slept right next to them on the daybeds. And it's like, Lucinda, what sort of person are you? I love you. In my next life, I want to be you. I just want to be the personality, not some of the things that I saw her do on the other country, Love Island, but here she's in her element. She really is shining, and hey, good for her. Harrison, he couldn't say anything. He was speechless because he was thinking, what else can I say? Because this person, as much as we don't like what she's doing, but look at her. We can't kick her off the city because obviously production would have said you can't isolate her. I have a feeling production was telling Lucinda, follow her, get a reaction from her, agitate her, get under her skin. The conversation between Helena, Tommy, and Sher, for me, this is what I'm going to say. That was the truth. That was the truth, and I think this is why we ended up with the whole incident at the end of the episode, because you had Tommy sort of saying to Helena, I spoke to Jesse. Jesse said she's picked me, but she still wants to get to know the other guys. And they all could see through it that he's being used as a placeholder. At the end of the day, she knew that if she didn't pick him, and if whoever she stole, it didn't work out, then she would have nowhere else to go. So she's going to pick him, keep him as a placeholder, and explore until she gets someone to bite. If she gets someone to bite, good for her. If she doesn't, it is what it is. Cher on her part was saying, they're still struggling, they're having problems. She thought Harrison was going to steal her, so she's pleasantly surprised he didn't steal her. And it's like, it is what it is. You dodged a bullet. Harrison is not the best person to be going for. The girls were getting ready. It was messy in there. There was obviously this conversation about the Lucinda situation. Lucinda had to isolate herself while people were getting ready. I don't know whether production were the ones that arranged that or whatever. And then you have the guys on the sort of upstairs. You had Carrington with Scott. They were sitting there having a chat, and sadly for them, I don't know whether they didn't notice or whether they noticed and they just kept talking, because they were talking to Harrison and sort of asking him, we thought you were going to pick Cher, and he said, well, I know, but I changed my mind and just realized that maybe Belle might be best for me. Then the guy started talking and realized that, oh God, Jack is there. He could hear what they're saying. And it was really sad because Jack is out of his element. Love Island is not it for him. The first time it didn't work out. This time he's actually lucky because there haven't been that many votes. And I think this is why he's been able to stay in the villa. Whether it's because they didn't have enough people or whatever, I didn't get it. The guys got ready. They were excited. They were busy asking each other who's going to kiss. Scott was number one to raise his hand. This is his moment to shine. He's been waiting for this. He's finally got home. He's going to make the most of it. You had Jack be asked about him and Cher, and he said, they needed to have conversations, but they're doing very well. Cher on her part is still in her feelings because she thinks, there is a lot of things that they need to discuss as a couple, things that they need to work on. And it's like, that's the truth. The girls sat on the daybed. It was Lucinda, Millie, and Cher. And what I like is Millie, as much as she's Switzerland, she's really tried to look out for Lucinda. I think because she knows Lucinda more than everybody else. Obviously, the rumblings in the villa are Cher didn't want to be picked by Jack. But what do we do? She had no one else to couple up with because Harrison decided to go for someone he thought could save him and keep him in the villa, not realizing that that's his next ticket out because people can't stand Belle. Then you had Tommy pull, Jesse for a chat, and he said, I had a chat with Helena, and this is what she thinks. She thinks you're using me because at the end of the day, you picked me, but you really don't feel me romantically. You want somebody else, and you're waiting until that person is free. Do I think that's true? Yes. And for Jess to sort of say, "Oh no, I didn't do that. I don't understand why Helena is telling you that," and it's like. I love that Tommy said, "That's my sister. She's my sister figure in the villa. So she's just looking out for me and just making sure I'm okay." And it's like, well, the truth is what it is. And the conversation by the sun deck and the daybeds made me laugh because you had Jack and Cher on the daybeds, and then you had Scott sitting with Leanne and Whitney. Scott is not letting go of Leanne now that he's allowed to hold and whatever. He's not letting go. That was really cute. The conversation between Jack and Cher. Now I understand why she's saying that we have problems. I truly understand why she's saying they have problems because the conversation didn't make sense and it was really dragged out. And it's like, oh my God, how do you say to someone, how are you? How are you? That's it. As a couple, make it make sense. We then had Millie and Zach having a conversation. Millie is happy because she's back in a couple. I don't know how long that will last. I think if at any point Zach continues to be pulled by Jesse, there's a possibility that he's going to jump ship, and this is going to be devastating for Millie. Harrison, I don't know what charm he has because the way he's been able to sort of calm down Belle and sort of get her excited and sort of exploring something with him, it's like make it make sense. Harrison is a baby, so the idea that you are thinking that this will ever go anywhere, and he is making you believe that you are the master in that relationship, he's going to make you cry. He made with his partner and his partner's partner cry last season. So the idea that you think you're smarter than Harrison, let us take several seats and wait for this. Then you had Helena go to the fire pit with Jesse, and Jesse I think was trying to call out Helena and sort of make it seem like Helena is trying to mess with the couple because she was saying, "I've just spoken to Tommy, and he told me that you said I'm using him. That was never my intention." Helena said, "No, I sat there, waited for him to speak, and then gave him my advice. And so whatever he told you, he's the one who brought it up first before I also gave my input." And I think realizing that she had been caught out, this is why Jesse decided to look for someone else to turn into the villain, not realizing that everybody's going to see through her. Everybody. And so she went and she pulled Lucinda for a chat. As she pulled Lucinda for a chat, she was walking past Carrington, and Carrington was saying, "Oh, I really like how she looks. She's my type. I might explore with her." No, he's not going to explore with her because I think he's got the ick from her behavior in the villa. Anyway, you have Lucinda's excited to see Jesse and she's saying, "Oh, my girl, come, let's sit and talk." And so to be told, "Oh, you're smarter than you think, you're rage baiting, and the little baby voice that you're speaking." And it's like, this is somebody's money that you're messing with. Why would you feel the need to say that? Yes, we all know Lucinda puts on a persona, but the idea that you would walk in and want to sort of taint Lucinda as the villain, whatever she's done right or wrong, that is not your place for you to speak up and say, "Lucinda, you do this." I'm happy that Lucinda walked off and said, I've had enough of it. This is it. I'm done. I love that the boys, as the argument was going on, you had people sort of questioning, what are they talking about? What are they arguing about? And Scott said, "I don't even understand because this has nothing to do with Jess. So I don't get why she is involving herself." It's like, Scott, same as we all don't understand why she's involving herself in this drama because this has absolutely nothing to do with her. She needs to mind her business and stay in her lane. Then you had, Lucinda sort of venting to Sean and saying, "I don't like what she's telling me, that I'm smarter than I look. People take advantage of me thinking that I'm dumb, not realizing that I'm actually way smarter." And it's like, even if she's way smarter than she looks, it's still not your place to say that in front of everybody else. And if you're my friend, why are you airing me out in front of everybody else, knowing that that's how I make my money? So you then had Sean. Sean was upset. He really was upset. He went out. I don't think his intention was ever to confront Jesse, but because Jesse was looking for villains, a way to cover up her story with Tommy, this is why she decided to sort of start having a back and forth with Tommy. And when she wasn't getting what she wanted, she started sort of storming off and going to sort of vent to Belle. "Oh, he upset me," pretending to cry. There were no tears. There were really no tears. No tears at all. And I'm surprised that Helena and Belle are not that close because initially they were very close until I think this Carrington situation took place. You had Lucinda sitting there with Millie, sort of being consoled by Millie that you just need to stay in your lane and leave these people alone. And she was like, why would she feel the need to say that? I'm an awkward person. I do these voices. I do this is who I am. And it's like, Lucinda is very smart. She knows how to turn it. And she's spinning this on Jessie. And Jessie is coming in and going out. She's not even waiting until the last episode. This time she's leaving earlier than she actually expected to. And I'm here for it. For Belle to then start screaming and shouting and saying that, oh, everybody in the villa is unhappy just because of two people. Why are they allowed to do that? And it's like, why are you allowed to do that? Why are you allowed to scream and shout? What I like about Leanne and Scott, they were in their little bubble, cuddled up. They were just watching all the drama taking place around them in the villa. And it's like, this is messy. This is really messy. The situation between Whitney and Sher, well, karma is karma calling, and all of Leanne's enemies are crumbling because I thought Sher and Whitney were best friends. So to have Whitney start having a go at Sher, I didn't like that. I really didn't like that. I didn't think it was necessary. I think Whitney is better than this. And to even have a go and say to Jack, oh, she's upset because she didn't want to be picked, be in a couple with you. She wanted Harrison to pick her. And it's like, whether or not she wanted Harrison to pick her, that's none of your business. Sadly for Whitney, a lot of things are piling up, and I am willing to bet money that if they bring in a bombshell for Yemen is jumping ship. I personally feel like he's getting the egg, especially from the sort of advice she gave Scott about Leanne, and now this whole situation with Sher. I think if he's someone with eyes to see, he's going to see through it and realize that maybe Whitney might not be the one for her. I love that Sher stood her ground and didn't allow herself to be intimidated by Whitney and called Whitney out when Whitney was mumbling under her breath to Belle and said, speak up, I'm here. I can hear you. Speak up. There's no need for you to mumble. Speak up so that I hear you and I can answer you. And it's like, Whitney might be out of her league. She really might be out of her league and she needs to take several seats. The Jesse and Lucinda situation was annoying. It was really annoying. There was no need for that. Anyway, the islanders got ready for bed. Scott is in paradise. He doesn't care if the villa is burning down. He is happy he's home and is never going to involve himself in all the hot mess. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 25. Bye guys.